SEOscience.com.
Welcome to another episode of SEO Science. I'm Richie Billing. I'm delighted to be joined by Miko. How are you doing, Miko?
I'm good, yeah.
Thanks very much for joining me again. It's been all hands on deck, hasn't it, with this recent update? Recent pair of updates. And we're going to talk specifically today about the spam update, which has finished rolling out now. Is that right, Miko?
Yeah, finished rolling out on the 21st of March in the early hours of the morning for us.
Yeah, so now it's been nearly a week since that has finished rolling out. We can start to see what's going on now. The dust has settled. So what has the sort of findings been so far?
The main things that Google has penalized in this round of updates was AI-generated spammy content, which we talked about briefly last week, but to cover in more detail. According to originality.ai, 100% of the domains that have been punished have used AI on most, if not all, of their articles, which makes sense if they're trying to de-index AI-generated content. Which is not surprising, really, as they have been hammering on that for a while now.
Yeah.
So that's the result of the update.
Yeah, and it's been pretty ruthless again, hasn't it?
Yeah.
What was the findings that you, the figure that you quoted to me before about the number percentage of AI on sites? That was a pretty damning figure for anyone who's looking to AI for the future of SEO.
Yeah, according to Originality.ai, it was 100% of the de-indexed websites have used AI, and then they used AI in 90 to 100% of their content, which caused them to get penalized.
Yeah.
And that's on the AI websites that they checked specifically as well. And obviously, they are a source for AI news, so it makes sense as to if them having the accurate stats for that one.
Yeah. I know. All I've seen for the past 6 months of people in the SEO world going on about how much money they're going to make using AI. Look at all these amazing results AI is generated, and like, to be honest, I could kind of see this coming. I mean, we all feared it when ChatGPT first rolled out to the masses, but when I've done like experiments with AI, it's always been the same pattern. So something will get indexed and start getting keywords. It'll start accumulating keywords very quickly, and you're like, oh, bloody hell, this has worked wonders. And then it'll start climbing up the rankings a little bit. And then I always found once it got to about that sort of top 10 position, and you're in that stage where Google is serving the content to actual visitors and people are using the page, looking at the content, and then finding that the content is not very good. You see these sort of spikes where they go up and then just a sad, depressing decline back down to sort of like the mid 50, 60 rankings. And it's kind of like what has happened with a lot of these sites is that they've had massive spikes in traffic because of the AI content. They flooded the internet with all this AI content, and then Google's looked at it and thought, "No, this is actually not good." But it rather than a sad, depressing, gentle decline, it's more of a slamming the door in the face and saying, "Get the hell out."
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do think it's good that they are punishing it. I think it's a positive change, really, because I mean, like it makes the job easier for a lot of SEOs and marketing professionals to use ChatGPT for things, but at the same time, like, it isn't content that they created. So by Google's metrics and like the EAT and helpful content updates, which that now is a pair, which with the September one, August, and now this March one, like clearly they are trying to like make it so that humans are reading them. But if they're produced by a robot, it's kind of counterintuitive to the strategy and what they value as a company.
Yeah, no, that's really like a really good point. Yeah, and if you think about like what you're saying, it's just as soon as you start reading it, like there's something missing, and it is very reassuring to see Google taking a stand against all these crappy sites now, because a lot of SEO people, writers especially, were all worried about the jobs. So hopefully, I reckon this update maybe has allayed a few fears that AI is not just going to take over completely and ruin the industry. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah. One of the interesting things about this update as well is that it targeted expired domain abuse, which is interesting because I've been around for quite a while in the SEO world, and this was a practice that my managers and bosses have tried before, where they like purchase a website that used to rank really highly and then repurpose it and like use basically whatever's left of it, like the skeleton, to try to like get back into the rankings, but with like a completely new, either fresh coat of paint on the same kind of topic, or like a completely different approach, like, or like a different domain name or things like that, but trying to use that high domain authority in the links that came to it once upon a time, which Google is now penalizing, which is good, because again, it shouldn't really be. It isn't really fair that that a website that hasn't been around forever can now outrank like websites that have been around for ages publishing content.
Yeah, it's something I've always wondered about the expired domains, because, like you say, it is a massive cheat code essentially. Like, and I was quite surprised at how common it was, and it was just seems to be accepted as well. Now Google has taken a stand against it, but I've started to notice, like, I've seen websites that have had these 301 redirects from expired domains, and probably in the last year, maybe 18 months, I'll push the rankings of these websites have started to fall, and I think it's because a lot of the power that came from them expired domains has been hit by these like Google updates, and now it looks like they're sort of going more gung ho.
Yeah. I still think it's good though. Like these kind of cheat codes. There is a website out there. I think it's called like Black Hat SEO, and it's like a forum where you can put like loads of strategies that are basically like exploits in the system, which you can
Yeah,
use to try to game it. And that was one of them, like to buy like these expired domains. So I think Google is keeping like a close eye on this kind of thing now,
yeah,
which is good because it shouldn't really be a thing if you can just do that.
yeah.
Then
That's definitely a part of your strategy.
yeah, then everyone can use it.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. What else is this spam update be like? What have you noticed so far? Like, I mean, has there any sites being hit that have not really had a lot of AI content on them?
Yeah, so when I was reading on SEO Roundtable, there have been a lot of people saying like, "Oh, I have this site and it has used no AI whatsoever, but it has been punished." So it must be like trying to read my content as if it was AI or something like that.
Yeah,
But at the same time, because of the helpful content update, which incentivizes well-produced content that targets a user's needs, I think websites are being penalized for targeting keywords and not targeting for, well, I guess targeting is probably the wrong term there, but they are making the content specifically to be used by the Google robots and not by humans that are going to read it,
yeah,
which is a problem, because if you are doing that, then yeah, I mean you might rank and stuff like that, but if your page reads effectively like an AI page, you're going to have problems.
yeah. So that seems to be the case, isn't it? As soon as these AI sites and pages start getting near the rankings, it's I think the analytics sort of realizes very soon that it's not a good quality page. And then because it is tricky, like it you see in people who don't use AI getting impacted. AI checkers they just work on like the balance of probabilities. I mean, the one I use is called Copy Leaks, That's meant to be one of the most accurate. And if you're looking for an AI checker, you can get that for free, and it's a nice little Google Chrome extension as well. So you can highlight text on a page, click on copy leaks, and it'll scan it. Great little tool. But I always think, like, how good is Google's AI detector, considering how bad was, and like what else are they using to try and work out whether something's AI? So maybe a checker combined with all the usual analytics things, and there might be something that jumps out on an analytical side, like particularly high bounce rate, for example. But again, it's hard to differentiate that because some websites just have high bounce rates. So I imagine Google hasn't been getting it spot on, but it just makes you wonder how it is they are calculating or assessing these sites.
I think a lot of it might be to do with common sense, to be honest. Like, because they can only really apply that. Like, they can't go page by page and just say like, yep, this one's good because it's written like this. This one's written because it's written like that. They can only go off guidelines realistically. They can't just make like they have to treat like every domain as basically similar. Obviously, they'll know like the intent, but they can again only guess the intent. Really, they can't like make a 100% clear decision on it, because the algorithm learning isn't like a human reading it, which again is like it creates like this whole dichotomy, which is funny. It's like robot wars because you have this one side of it, which is the machine learning Google algorithm, which is then a check-in, and it is a machine checking websites, and then you have the AI robots generating the content, so they're like proposing their stuff there, and then you have like these SEO tools which are like in between, and they also check and do stuff via robots and stuff like that. So then you have like this constant battle between the three going on, and it just never ends.
It's crazy when you start thinking about like how it all works under the hood.
Yeah.
And were there any other sites hit in this update, or that seemed to be the bulk of it?
Yes. So the other side of it was places where they just link out. So back in the day, there used to be something called Black Hat, and well, it was a White Hat strategy back in the day-ish. It was PBN, so it was personal blog networks, which then like linked out to thousands of domains. Currently, there exist sites that are similar to them, which are called like link farms. Those have also got punished this time around because Google is getting weary of authority, like domain authority abuse and page authority abuse. So like building up links unnaturally is also getting punished. And that's a long time coming, really, in my opinion. I mean, they did start their efforts in, I believe, 2013 to reduce the amount of this happening. But again, it's not something that can't just be fixed in one go. So I think over time that'll just keep happening. And sites that have been using authority abusive practices have gotten punished as well. Which was also featured on the SEO Roundtable.
Interesting. I know it's an interesting knock-on effect because, like you say, these link farms, they might have been serving a lot of links, and the links that they were pointing to, or the sites that they were pointing to, might have done very well out of that. But because that sort of main site has been hit, now them links don't carry as much weight. Then that site has a bit of a wobble. And then you're back to the situation where you need to start building links again because they've lost all that value. I mean, some of the things that we do to try and get more sustainable links is sort of media, working with the media. Big one. Doing putting stories together, sending out press releases, building links to websites that are all relevant to the subjects of that website as well. Like relevancy seems to be a big thing. Like I've got a website all about dogs. It's only like a new website. And I think only done a little bit of work on it. It's only got about 6 or 7 backlinks to it, but they're all dog related. And this website hasn't been hit at all. Just like coasted through. It's only small, so that's probably contributed to it as well. But like relevant links seem to be much more of a big thing. So something else that we've been working on as well, isn't it, Miko? We've had one of the sites in our network take a bit of a hit, and we've been looking at the content side, haven't we?
Yeah.
So what we've been basically doing is going through Sitemap, wonderful job, and like looking for any opportunities where basically the concept might not be serving users in the right way. So tell us about what we found.
Yeah, so on the site in question, there were a lot of pages that just existed for like the sole purpose of, for example, geolocation targeting and like basically fooling Google. These were created a long time ago, and they just have been around. But a lot of them didn't rank and they just existed just in case someone searched like X location and then, sorry, the keyword and the location together, and then they would try to come up. Obviously, that isn't the greatest strategy because Google is smarter than that at this point. And when you type in, for example, a pizza shop's near me, you will get local results for that. And then that will, rather than, how do I describe this? So like if you have a page with a location, it makes sense if you're like a restaurant, like a food chain or something like that, because then you are in that location, like you are physically there. But Google knows that. Google knows if you are in that location because it has your Google Maps link and things like that all connected within that its own network. So it already knows where you are. It knows where your domain's located. So trying to fool it in that way was never really going to work. So we have been reducing the amount of those over time because it really wouldn't really bring that much traffic for the most part. I know it can work for some people, definitely, but due to our niches, it wouldn't really work because for a lot of our service-based clients, they would want to come to the location, but if there's no physical location for them to go to, then that deceives them effectively. And they might be put off by the fact that we aren't actually in that location.
Yeah, so a lot of paging going on, and also just looking for pages that are maybe quite similar in subjects, and just consolidating or removing.
Exactly.
So just like making your site a bit more leaner, a bit sleeker. And yeah, seeing what happens. It's been a bit of an interesting one, hasn't it? A lot of work. That's the thing. I don't mind Google updates because the ones that get hit, they force you to take a step back, analyze, and learn. Like look at what other people have been doing, see other case studies, get bits of advice, and then you try new things, you discover new things. And so I always think, like, well, yeah, it is scary seeing your traffic disappear. In the long run, if you stick with it, you're gonna get better, and your site's gonna be better. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah, I think the future is going to be very interesting as well when it comes to this because recently, Google, Apple, I can't remember what the last company is, but they're currently going through a lawsuit with the European Union and the European Commission in regards to monopolizing certain features. So I think for Apple, it's Google, their App Store and like only allowing a certain apps to appear on it and you like taking the cut of the money.
Yeah.
But for when it comes to Google, what they are getting hit for basically by European Union is that they are monopolizing search, which obviously there is only really one big competitor, which is Microsoft with Bing. Bing has AI integrated already into it, which Google doesn't. I wonder how that's going to affect the future of both the companies. Is Google going to now penalize AI content that they produce? Is that going to be a thing? Because obviously that would seem counterintuitive for their business model. And in the European Commission, one of the things that they pointed out was that they want Google to show Bing results in Google specifically. That was one of the things that they want, which is interesting because obviously that's saying like, okay, so you have to show like certain Bing results now. If because of it, otherwise I'm guessing they just treat it as no indexed in a similar vein.
Yeah,
So that'd be interesting to see, and we're seeing
that would
if
be
the commission
interesting.
can swing them.
Yeah. I mean, what would they? We can only speculate really, but it's you could see like what we've got with TikTok now in America, with the potential for TikTok to just like completely withdraw from that part of the world.
Hmm.
Imagine if you saw that in Europe.
When everyone has to use Bing. I don't. I think SEOs wouldn't be very happy about that though. So
Yeah. Oh. Oh, well, Miko, it's been good chatting with you as always.
yeah, no,
Covered a
same.
lot of grounds. Thank you very much for listening at home. If you've got any questions or if you'd like to get some help or advice, head over to billionmedia.co.uk. Link is in the description. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back next time with some more SEO science tips and advice.